welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to show you how to download and install and configure YAAC or YAAC, which is short for Yet Another APRS Client. And this is similar to Zaster, however I found it a lot easier to set up and configure. I did find it more modern and quicker to use as well, and overall I think it's an easier system to use. So let's begin. Now YAAC is actually something that we have to download from the internet. It's not on the repositories yet, so we're going to go to a normal web browser, type in YAAC, and here we are. The first hit here is ka2ddo.org, and that's the one that we want, Yet Another APRS Client. So we click on that, and this is the website. This has a great description of what it does, and not too far down the page we have a list here of installing it, running it, configuring it, etc. So we'll go to the installation section, which is just below, and this runs on many different operating systems, as you can see, including Raspbian, which is great. Alright, so this gives you a brief description of what it is, how it works. It's actually written in Java, which is a bit different than a lot of the things that we've downloaded before. And in the installation section we've got a nice description here. So the first thing we need to do is, when we go down here to number 1, we need to download this zip file. So when I click on this, it downloads it, as you can see at the bottom here, and I'm going to click open. Right, so I'm actually going to try and do this through the terminal. Now this should have downloaded this to the downloads folder, so I've CD downloads with a capital D, and then ls to list what's in there. And there we have it, the YAAC.zip file. And as we go along, I'm following the instructions here on the left. So open a terminal window, which I've done. Sudo bash to become a super user, so sudo bash, enter, and you'll notice that the prompt here has gone from a dollar symbol to a hash symbol. Dollar means a regular user command line, and the hash symbol here means the super user or root command line. So on the root command line we do not need to type sudo. Now the problem with this is if we accidentally delete something, it won't stop us, it won't warn us generally. Once you delete something, it's gone. Whereas previously, if we had a normal user, we'd have to type sudo, it'll ask for a password and say, do you really want to do this, and all that sort of thing. So the safety barriers are now gone, so we do have to be a little bit careful with a root command line. So the next step is to apt-get install openjdk-8-jre. So apt-get install openjdk-8-jre, and also librxtx-java. So we just type that all as a line here, and also, one last thing, unzip. So we hit enter, that will go through, and it's saying it's unable to locate a certain package. Now I've just pressed up here to pull up the last command, and I'm just going to try that command individually, and I'm also going to try it without that command. Okay, so the first one it couldn't do, and it could be that we've already got it installed, I'm not sure, but it certainly seems to be doing the other two. The librxtx/java is being installed at the moment, and I've pressed up to pull up the last instruction again, and I'm trying unzip now. Okay, unzip is already installed, so it looks like it could be that the first and the last things we listed there are already installed. the middle one, the librxtx/java, it did install. Just to make you aware, when you list things like this, saying install this, this and this, if the first one doesn't install, it just stops. It doesn't then go on and try the others, unfortunately. So you have to delete the first one, then let it try and do the second one, and then try and do the third one. But hopefully we've got all of those in place now. It then says type exit from the to exit from the supershell. Okay, we'll do that. And we're back to the standard command line prompt now as a normal user. So we're back in the safety of the normal user mode. Next, we want to make a directory called YAAC in capital letters. Please note that Linux is case sensitive, so YAAC in capitals is considered a different file than YAAC lowercase. So we need to be consistent here. So mkdir. Now, before we do this, I would suggest we want to put this file in the home directory. So this is slightly different than what they've said there. We're going to type cd and press enter. This will take us to the home directory. Now we're going to mkdir YAAC. I'll just give you a moment here to catch up. So I don't want to build the file in the downloads directory, because I just use that for downloads. Where we want to make programs work, it's in the home directory, or there's also an optional file area called OPT, and equally we could build it there as well. In fact, if we just have a quick look here, there's OPT there, so we could actually go in there and do it, but for now we're going to do it in the home directory. So mkdir YAAC, and if we type ls, this is our home directory. You'll notice YAAC now appears here on the right. Okay, we're now going to go into that directory, so cd for change directory, YAAC. So we're opening up that file and stepping into it, and at this point we would unzip. So unzip, and we're going to use the tilde, which is the home directory, /downloads. So what we're doing is telling it where this other file is. YAAC.zip. Okay, so it's unzipped the file, and it's also placed it in our directory here in the home directory. Okay, so it's unzipped the file that was in downloads and put the contents in our current directory. So as we can see there's cleaner.jar, images, lib, plugins, upgrade, YAAC.jar, YAAC, plugins, SDK.zip. Okay, great. So at this point it's ready to run. We can run the program with the command as it describes here on the web page. java-jar YAAC.jar. So we'll try that now. Java-jar YAAC. That has to be capitals, remember. .jar. So this will run the program, and hopefully we should see it pop up on the screen in a moment. Great, so here we go. I'm going to make this full screen. Okay, so I'm going to press plus just to zoom in a bit, just to see what's going on where. And we don't have any map yet, but we do have positions coming in. So if we click on File, OpenStreetMap, and download pre-imported tiles, and this should give us the opportunity to load some tiles in. And this is going to load in a radius in kilometres of 400 kilometres. We'll click on refresh all existing map tiles. Yeah, we'll do that first, I think. Okay, and then that didn't make any difference. Okay, so download pre-installed. So we'll go and do that again. 400 kilometers now. For the sake of that, sounds like a good amount, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do 30 kilometers just to speed this up. This download might take a while. So here's the download box. As you can see, it does take a bit of time to download all those maps. In the meantime, we'll just have a poke around here. So in the file menu, there's the OpenStreetMaps. There's also topographical maps which can be downloaded. Configuration. So this is one that you want to go through. Click on Wizard, put your call sign in here, which I've done previously. Click Next, whether it's a mobile, a fixed station, etc. And you can pick a symbol to represent your location and what it is you're setting up here. Okay, click Next again. You can type in your longitude and latitude, and again placing your position on the map will help with that. If you have a GPS receiver, you can also select what it is. Click Next. We wanted to add an APRS port, so we can click Add. However, the APRS port here is one that you definitely want to set up. Similar to Zasta, you want it to be able to access the internet, and you can choose in here which one suits you best. So we would choose, I'm in Europe, so we would choose Europe. Server port you can leave. Your call sign wants to go in, and your APRS password, which you can get off the internet. If you type in APRS password generator, Google that, and you type in your call sign and it will generate a number, and that number wants to go in here, and it's a way of verifying your details. Transmit, you want to enable this. It will be disabled by default unless you're just going to use an iGate, in which case you can leave it as disabled. We want to click Next, and that will set up this configuration here. If you're wanting to use a sound card software modem, you can add with this option here as well. Click Next, and if you want it to beacon, you can tick beacon and type in a message, and that's the message that will be beaconed out, and then finish, and that's all that done. The other menus we have here are View, and it gives you lots of options here as to what you'd like to view. In Layers, you can tick additional options here to show range circles of how far something can travel at its current speed in a certain amount of time. Tracking stripes to show you where they've been. That's a handy one if you're trying to track mobile stations. Show the speed of the vehicle, you can add that. That's a good thing to know. What else can we add here? Ambiguity, this is again if you don't want to have a station accurately tracked for privacy reasons, you can add that. Symbols, digipeat, hot paths. That's interesting if you've got a distant station and you want to know how it got to you. If it's going through digipeaters, this will be a nice indicator. Also topography, you can actually add topography on the regions and contour lines. So there's a lot of good detail here. Filtering, you can filter the range that you see, so you're not spending a lot of time downloading maps and things like that. You can locate a station by call sign, etc. through the locate option. Query, you can ask stations what they've heard or who they can hear direct, etc. Very useful function. Message, this is great as well. You can message a station direct using an APRS chat function, and you can also email, provided you can get to a station that will pipe it into the internet. You can also connect to a bulletin board system. You can bookmark a particular view to come back to it each time. So a lot of good things in here. You'll also notice there's an option for plugins here, and you can add things like what can we see here? ADS-B, air traffic receiver, all sorts of things. So some really useful items in this one. So this is YAAC, and I was hoping the maps would load a bit quicker. Unfortunately they do tend to go a bit slow. You can end up with a big file with these maps. Once you've got it though, you've got it, and it's nice to have if you're ever going portable and you don't have internet access. It will still be able to pull all the maps from the download that you do initially, so you can have it completely independent of the internet rather than having to download maps every time you look at a particular part of the map. So this is YAAC, and again, when it's loaded you will have a similar mapping situation that if you look at my Zasta video, you'll see a map underneath showing you the areas. It'll look very similar to that. So what I'll do is I'll speed the video up for a few minutes till it's finished downloading, just so you can see the map, and so I'll whiz through it and then come back to you. Okay, we're back. So that seems to have downloaded, and let's just have a look here and see what we've got. There we go. So this is what the maps look like. Very similar to the maps you've seen already on Zasta, and I'm going to attempt here to zoom in. One thing with YAAC here is it has a nice simplistic control panel at the top, so it's very clear on what all the buttons do, and I believe you can actually strafe up, down and left and right with the arrow keys as well. So as well as dragging the map around, you can actually zoom in and out with the plus and minus and navigate with the up and down, left and right arrows. Okay, so let's just zoom in a bit closer. As you can see, you can go to quite an incredible level of detail here, and if you want to move your position on the map, I'm just going to randomly pick somewhere. I think, just bear with me. You can actually draw on the map as well, so if you're looking to illustrate anything on the map, that can be done. I was looking to see if we could move the home station as well, which I believe is in here somewhere. No. So you can draw boxes, etc. Let me just see if I can. There we go. Oh, okay. So if you press the house button here, it'll actually centre your location in the middle of the window if you're off centre. And then to remove these, I can just click on them and press the delete button to remove them. So this is YAAC. Very good APRS client, easy to use, very clear, and you'll notice again it's a lot quicker responding. I can zoom out very quickly, zoom in very quickly. and it's a lot more responsive than the other client, which is Zasta. So I would highly recommend YAAC as well. Personal preference, I think, between the two, but I certainly find they're both very good. This is a lot quicker and easier if you just want it to be straightforward. Okay, so now we have YAAC installed and running. We need to add it to the Raspberry Pi menu over here on the left. As you can see at the moment, there's nothing in here. So the first step is we need to create an executable script in order to be able to put something in the menu. And for that, we're going to go to the home directory and add something to the list of directories in here. So the first command is mkdir, make directory, bin. And if we now look in here, we've got bin. And this is a binary folder, so when the system first starts, it checks for folders called bin, and it knows everything in there is an executable file, or potentially an executable file. So now we've created bin, we're going to cd into it. There's nothing there at the moment, as you can see, and we're going to add a file. So we're going to use the program touch, and we're going to call it YAAC. So we've created a file now called YAAC, and in this file we're going to write a short script which will allow us to execute YAAC. So we're going to use the command sudo for privileges nano YAAC, and in YAAC we're going to write the following: hashtag exclamation mark /bin /bash. That tells the system this is a script. We then want to, what do we need to do here? We need to tell it where the executable file is. So we want to tell it to change directory to, now depending on where you put YAAC, if you put it in your home folder, we'd do tilde, which is the symbol for home, /YAAC /. Okay, that tells it where to go. Alternatively, if, like me on this particular installation, I put it in opt, so it would just be /opt /YAAC, like so. So you need one or the other of those, not both, depending on where you saved YAAC. On this installation I've saved it to OPT, so I'm going to leave it as that. And then we're going to type the command java -jar YAAC.jar, and this executes it. We need to then save this, so we hold down the button Control and press O, and it asks what would you like to call this file. We've already called it YAAC and we want to keep it as that, so we just press enter, and then we do Control X to exit. If we then ls, we'll notice the file's there, but it's in white, it's not in green yet. So that means it's not executable. We need to make it so. So sudo chmod, change mode, +x is to make it executable, and the name of the file. There we go. So we press that, it does it. We type ls, and there we can see it's executable. Now at the moment the system doesn't know it's actually there, so we need to restart bash or refresh bash. Bash is the shell that we're having the terminal in. So we type bash and press enter, and it has now seen and is aware that that file is there. We can then go out of this, and we go into the Raspberry file menu, down to preferences, and main menu editor. So as you can see, these are all the things here that are in here. And let's say we want to put it in internet. So we click on internet here, new item, the name, what do we want to call it? Let's call it YAAC. Oops, I can spell. In the comments I'm going to put APRS client to tell me what it is. In the command, this is where we want to browse and find. If we go to home, here's the bin folder we created, and here's the YAAC file. So we just double click on each of those and it fills in the address there for us. The last thing we want to do before we click OK is to click on the image here. Now what we're going to do is download an image. Since we're on the YAAC website, I like this image here, so we're going to right click, save image as, and I'm going to save this in the pictures folder. It's already called YAAC logo, which is great, and save. So we've saved that to the pictures folder on our system. We now need to just tell this image here where it is. So we click on the image and it's already found it, but if we go to pictures, YAAC logo, and click OK, and there's the image. That's great. So we click OK. It appears here in the folder. Now we want to click OK again. And now, when we click on the Raspberry file here, in Internet, and there's YAAC. So, fingers crossed, if we click on this, it should start the program. And there we go. So we have the system up and running, all working great, and that is YAAC. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe, and click on the bell icon to be notified of new videos coming out all the time.